What is up? Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Lion's Den coming at you again with my top drop locations for you and your squad. I brought it up on my last video and I had listed my 3 current top drop spots. They have slightly changed since then, although I'm going to dive into why I choose these in more depth here in this video. So first I'm going to start off with the Repulsor Watchtower. If you've seen my previous drop video, this has also made the list on that one. I don't want to be super repetitive, but it is by far one of my favorite drop locations in the game. It's been a long time favorite of mine. It really does work. I find I consistently make it into the late game when I drop at this location. There's access to high tier loot right away. The options of where to go next are vast between Repulsor, water treatment, or you can start heading into the middle of the map. And there's also the bonus of having those jump towers that are super close to you for you to escape out of Repulsor and go wherever you need to go next. That's self-explanatory right there. So second on the list I'm going to jump into is going to be cages. This spot is the definition of verticality. Since Season 2, they obviously changed the map up. This is one of the new locations in there called cages. You should ideally land on top of these cages if possible, and then work your way down. Keep pushing the other enemies below you as they climb up. And contradictory to this, if the top spot isn't available and the other enemy squads all land there, you should be landing at the bottom of the cage and then clear out and work your way up. You don't want to get pinched in between 2 squads by landing in the middle of the tower or by immediately going to the middle of the tower. If you cannot get the high ground right away, the first thing you should be doing is going to the buildings around the cage tower or going to the very base of the cage tower. This way you can play with the enemies. I'll put in a clip here, I think I have it saved, where we went through, landed at the top, and there was other enemies there, so I landed on the bottom and just kept using the zip lines up and then down and then up and then down, rotating with these enemies to make sure that I always had a proper vantage point before I got into those gunfights. The other benefit of cages now is going to be, there's obviously, you're in the middle of the map, so you transitioning into the next circle is going to be much easier. It also has high tier loot, so if you win those gunfights and you loot those players, you're going to be pretty kitted with your squad at the beginning. And then there's a numerous routes of escape once again. You can go into the caves, you can go, north, south, east, west. It doesn't really matter which direction you push, because very close by to cages there's a next settlement where you can go in and go into the next set of buildings and take all of the loot, get into the next gunfight. It really just puts you in a good vantage point for setting yourself up for late game. It sets you up to where if the second circle closes and cages is still in there, you don't even necessarily have to start pushing all kinds of other directions. Time is on your side at that point, and then again, you're fully kitted, you're ready for gunfights, and you have a numerous amount of options as to where to go to next. The third spot that I'm going to be talking about right now is going to be just outside of Thunderdome. So they redid Thunderdome halfway through last season. They put in a bunch of supply crates, made it a little more accessible for loot and whatnot. Now this one I've actually chosen because I do like this location, and it puts you in a great position if you clear out all the enemies. However, landing at Thunderdome to me is more of a concept that I'm talking about. So upon dropping, I land very close to or on the outskirts of Thunderdome. I grab some loot and then I head towards the gunshots. When done as a single unit, you and your team can come in and clean up via third party and take out all of the enemy players, and then you're fully kitted up. You have total control over this section of the map. Loot is for the squad, as well as one side of the area of the map is completely off limits. So this gives you a safety via the natural barriers of the map, where the ocean is and those rock formations on the side, because now your team can only be pushed from 3 other directions, north towards airbase, right towards water, and then, from Skulltown. So this gives you a really, really good vantage point when you start to push circle as it closes, because if you've cleared out Thunderdome, no one's going to be coming behind you. So if you play edge of circle the whole time, or if you get into circle just quickly enough, you have a very good chance that nobody's going to flank you. And the reason I said that this is a concept is because it works everywhere. So if it'll work, like I said, at repulsor, it'll work at relay. It'll work basically anywhere on the map where you can position yourself where the circle barrier is in front of you. That's where you're going. Enemies can come from your flanks on your sides, but your rear is covered. There is a natural barrier behind you. The circle wall is behind you. It doesn't allow for people to rush up on you and get that sneak attack, as long as you're, competent, paying attention, and they're not gods and they just come in unannounced and destroy everything and destroy your whole life, like Shroud would or something else. But I just really want people to drill in that concept of getting good loot, clearing out the enemies, and putting yourself in a position to push circle. That is really what you should be doing in your drop points. It will be, by doing this, it'll set you up for success for late game, for you to get these wins. And this is super important in ranked. When I first jumped into ranked, I'll tell you a quick story. I got slaughtered. I went in without a squad. That's my first problem. B, we dropped all the high tier loot, quote unquote, high drop locations that you would do. We dropped Skull Town, and we dropped Airbase, and we dropped swamps. We've dropped everywhere. You drop where the challenges are, and etc. This set us up for failure by far, because the meta has changed from what I've seen. Less squads, especially people who are in ranked trying to rank up and go further. Less people drop in those high tier loot locations and those high condensed drop locations. They're setting themselves up for late game. They want to make it for the win. The best way to get the most points for ranked is to win. So nobody's dropping in to ranked 40 people in Skull Town to get these fucking kills and kit up. That's just a bad MO. It's a bad way to go. It's not how you're going to win these games, okay? You need to set yourself up. And when we did this, initially when rank dropped, we dropped in these high tier locations, there was maybe one other squad, and we'd clear it out. Within a minute of this happening, we'd be looting. There would be no one around, literally no one. We would leave Skull Town, we would leave swamps or wherever, and the moment we hit the outskirts, there's someone in a sniper's nest with a Pathfinder zipline up on the skull bones, or you have someone in swamps at the top of, near relay, or even in the trees, and they're just picking us off, and we get sniped. We get third-partied trying to engage with that fight, and we lose heavily. When you drop, you need to be thinking about what kind of loot you're going to get, what position are you going to be in when you win these gunfights, and where are you going to go next. That's what these other players were doing. They got some loot. They weren't the best, but they positioned themselves in a place where when we were ready to push circle, when our team was ready to make the move, we were in a bad position because we didn't have verticality, or we didn't have natural cover in between us, and they started shooting at us while we were running from point A to point B, and just blatantly got picked off. So you really need to start thinking about that when you're dropping, and I promise when you do, and you start thinking about how you're going to make it to late game from this drop, you will start to see an improvement, and you will start to last longer in games. I know it's not fun, getting into gunfights and missing, or not getting into gunfights, and not fighting anyone for 17 minutes of a round, and then dying in the first gunfight you get into. However, you're trying to play ranked, you're trying to catch some W's, so you need to start thinking about where you're going to drop and how it's going to get you to that champion screen. They need to correlate heavily. That being said, guys, just take it for what it is. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Drop me a sub. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you dislike it if you don't like it. Just give me some feedback so I can create some more content that you guys will like. Other than that, have a great day, everybody. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.